So today we have REEFish Project. It's a project which includes an international consortium, including the University of Montpellier, Swiss Federal Institution of Technology, the Institution of Research for the Development in Nouméa, University of Lausanne of Switzerland. So the project aims at understanding ecological and evolutionary processes shaping fish biodiversity in coral reefs. They had been surveying northern Madagascar, Mayo, and Gulf of Aden possibly. They are here in Maldives to survey. The main goal of the reef project in Maldives is to understand the process of gene flow among the reef fish population in the Western Indian Ocean. So first of all, I would like to call up on the stage Dr. Lloyd Galicia, who's the lead researcher, and then we have Julia Donati and Oscar. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Lloyd.
Thank you very much. So my name is Loïc Pelletier. So as it was said, our project REEFish is a project we're grouping several countries. So part of us come from Switzerland, France, and so I will try to present, and we will be three today presenting what we are doing in the context of the project. But actually today we are more. So if you are interested to interact with us, you can just afterward during the drinks, you can go and ask any question you have on the project to the whole team. So our team, we come from Zurich, so very different climates, very different region, but even though we don't have the sea in Switzerland, we are still interested in what's happening in the coral reefs. And in our department, we have we are the Department of Environmental System Science at ETH Zurich, and we're interested in different topics, in biological diversity and adaptation, climate change, ecosystem processes, food security, and sustainable resource use. So our goal is to find engineering solution to have a more long-term and sustainable management of the environment. And so, as I said, we are the research group in landscape ecology. So I'm the professor in the group, but we are all together working on different projects in this topic. And so this is us in Switzerland about 1 month ago. So we have quite a contrast between what we had there and what we have today. And so we study landscape ecology. So what is landscape ecology? It's the study of biological processes brought over the landscape. So what is really important for us is that we study spatial processes. So what is happening in space? And when I say landscape, it's not only landscape, but we are of course also interested in the marine complexity and so the seascape. So how the complexity of the marine real is shaping biological processes. And one of the main topics of our research is biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? Biodiversity is the ensemble of diversity of life forms that can be at the genetic level, at the species level, habitat level, at a given place. So why do we care about biodiversity? So you know that more and more we are faced with big environmental challenges. For instance, we have climate change. So last year you could see the effect of climate change on the coral reefs. That when the climate is changing, it's getting warmer, then it's not viable for coral population, and then you have the bleaching event. And you also, in addition to climate change, you have, for instance, marine exploitation. So because of fisheries, we tend to exploit a bit more the environment compared to what is sustainable over the long term. So we fish, for instance, more than the renewing of the stocks of fishes. And so this has some consequences on the ecosystems. And what we study is a consequence of those different drivers of impact on the processes of the ecosystem, for instance, the food web among fishes, and then how this change in the ecosystem is impacting the services that are delivered to the local population. Because you know that biodiversity is actually providing a lot of service, and in the Maldives it's really obvious. I mean, when you see all the tourists that are coming to see the beautiful reefs, if there is climate change and bleaching, this economy cannot be sustainable. And also fisheries is quite important, and if the impact of global changes is too high, then we won't have a very good fish stock for the future. So we need to manage ecosystem in a way to preserve those processes. So for that, we are using a lot of modeling. We are trying to make a model of the ecosystem, and then by playing with the model, we see how the ecosystem is responding to changes, for example, to climate change. And for instance, we can model the distribution of coral reef. You can see here on this map, all the red dots are actually the points where the coral reef are distributed across the globe. And then you can link that, for instance, to temperature conditions, to sea surface temperature. And if you do this, you can get what we call a response curve, meaning the location along the temperature gradient where it's suitable for the coral reef. And if you, I don't have a pointer, but you can look at this curve. And if you go toward too cold temperatures, and it's not suitable for the growth of coral reef, so that's why we don't have coral reef at high latitude. But also if it's too warm, if the temperature can peak above 32 to 33 degrees, we can see that the suitability for coral reef is decreasing also quite drastically. So with this type of model, we can try to forecast the consequence of climate change on the coral reef suitability. And if we look at the trend of temperature for the last century, we can see a very strong increase in temperature, in sea surface temperature. And this is a very nice graph where you can see the change from the 1900 to 2015. And you can see that overall we are up to 1.5 to 2 degrees above what was during the last century. And this has for consequence to cause the bleaching that we observe. So we can use those data and make forecasts to know what will be the consequence of future climate change on the reef system. And then we can make this model and project this model. And this is the consequence of climate change on the suitability for reefs for 2050. And you can see the locations that are likely to be most impacted by climate change. And you can see the decrease in suitability in percent for 2050. So the thing is that if we continue to warm the planet, to warm the system, the event of bleaching will simply continue, and you will have a decrease in the suitability for coral reef. So there, what I said is that this huge biodiversity that we see in the reef system is kind of threatened. But the problem is that we are in about 50 years, we are causing a lot of decrease in biodiversity in those systems. But what we have to know is that this biodiversity took ages to be created. It took millions of years to be generated. And so Oscar and Julia will be there to explain a bit more about the processes that generate biodiversity.